foster family for 3 years. We have 4 biological children, and
we have fostered over 8 kids in the last 3 years.
A little over 4 years ago, we just felt a very strong call to foster, although it didn't really make any sense, and we didn't know anyone else who had ever done it, and weren't really sure if we were looking for adoption at first, until we landed in our STARS class. And the benefit that we had in coming into STARS was that we didn't know anything about foster care. And so everything that we learned was from scratch, and we didn't have any preconceived notions. And that gave us the benefit to learn the reality of what foster care is intended for. And that the goal was reunification, which kind of blew our minds. I think most people think that, foster care is intended for. Okay.
So we definitely started the process thinking that this was a way for us to grow our family, that we had, stable, loving home that we could provide for children in need. We didn't really completely understand the importance of reunification. I would say even as we went through STARS and started early fostering, definitely still didn't completely buy in or understand the importance of reunifying bio kids and parents. But I would say our last placement has definitely solidified the importance of that for us.
So our first few placements when we were licensed were pretty fast. In our first year, we had 6 kids come in and out of our house. And the ones that we thought would stay a long time didn't, and the ones that we thought would be really quick were longer. And no one during that time went home. They found different family members or adopted placements, and so it was a whirlwind the first year. And then we were a little tired after that first year. And then we got a call for 2 kids. And when the call came, they said, this is going to be a long placement. And it looks like it's headed toward termination of parental rights. So if you are open to that, then you should take this placement. And so there was a baby, and we were licensed for 3 to 10. So I said no. And then Chris did the call to give them the answer, and he said
yes.
Yeah. So we took in a 9-month-old and a 4-year-old, and 2 weeks into the case, they asked us if we were open to adoption, and we were going to our first family support team meeting, and we said yes, although it was kind of a scary yes. We didn't really know what we were saying yes to. So in our first family support team meeting, we sat across from a mother who was told that she was about to lose the rights of her children. And that was a memory that we will never forget. She loved her children, and her life fell apart at that table. And it was the first time we'd seen the humanity, I think, on the other side of the table, where this is a mother who loves her children, who's about to lose her children. And in no way did I want the caseworker then to say, but they'll take them. It was very uncomfortable to say you were open to adoption in that situation. So anyway, from there, the story completely changed. And so that was her rock bottom. And when we left that meeting, she handed me a book across the table that said, I love my mommy, and asked me to read it to her children every night. And I think even just in reading that story, it was a reminder of the humanity of the mother who loves these children, and that my position was temporary in loving them. So from there, she began working her plan. And as the story shifted, we realized that the only way to win in foster care, if winning is a lifelong connection with these children that are placed in your home, the only way to win was to support her.
And if winning is the long-term success of, and prosperity, whatever it is, that for these kids, it's their best scenario was to go back home to their mom, but she was going to need a lot of help along the way. She came from, as I'm sure is a pretty regular example, pretty broken home and family situation, and we kind of started this process thinking we would grow our family by adopting a child or two, or I don't know that we totally had any idea or plan exactly, but I think that was kind of in the back of our minds. And what we kind of have ended up doing is adopting this whole family. And now they're such a big part of our lives. And she is such a great success story, this biological mom, working and sober and drug-free and breaking cycles that you just don't see people breaking very often. And we still get to be a part of their lives and part of her success. So our success was the success of the bio mom and those kids going home, which, people think we're crazy, by the way. People will think you're crazy. I still have friends that think we're crazy. Mm-hmm. Like, is it safe for that person to know this or that about your life? And so just remember that this is a little bit outside the social norm, and you'll probably get some questions about it.
Yeah. So if we just knew that if we supported her and the kids ended up in our home forever, then we had done everything that we could. And if we supported her and the kids went home, then we had an option of a lifelong commitment or relationship with that family. If you are the bad guy, if you are the barrier between her success and the children having permanence, if you are the barrier, you will lose that. You will lose that connection in the end. I
would just say to anyone who's considering fostering, understand, the just huge need for being empathetic towards situations and scenarios maybe outside of what you've experienced, and potentially something you have experienced and you're able to connect and be empathetic more naturally. But this was so outside of anything we had seen before, just this continuous cycle of brokenness, and then getting to see that cycle broken is probably, our, like, one of the most amazing things that's ever happened in our life.
Mm-hmm. So I think our vision for foster care kind of opened as we walked through this particular journey, because it's kind of short-sighted in a cycle of, most of these situations are cyclical. So whether it's abuse or it's substance abuse, it's probably been happening for generations. And if you take one child into safety, that's awesome, but it's short-sighted. But if you can take a family and restore it, then you have restored future generations. One point during this case, this mother had told us that everyone in her family had lost custody of their children. No one had ever gotten them back, and she would be the first. She many times would quote things that her own mother had said during her childhood, just knowing that this is a restoration of her past and of her future. And so now in the grand scheme, she has 4 other mothers who are working through healing and restoring their families, and she is able to walk with them. Another family member has lost children since her kids have gone home, and she is able to support and coach her. And so this is bigger than just 2 children and 1 mother. This is generations. These are other people seeing hope in someone that has crawled out of hard places. And one of the things that we did when the kids went home, the day that the case was closed, was we really felt like this, again, was such a big deal in multi-generations of broken families. It was such a big deal for her to overcome so many things. And so we threw her a big party, and that was for her, but also that was such a message of hope for everyone that attended. So anyone in our village who had supported these children was present, and then anyone in her family that had walked her or been by her side through this process was present. And hopefully a witness of hope to the people that had not seen success in the past in foster care and had seen a lot of loss, for them to see what was possible and what happens when people just love on each other and support one another. One of the key moments for me in this case was when we first started helping with visits. We were the supervisor for visits for most of 3 to 4 months. And what was confusing for the 4-year-old was what to call us, because in our house, he was calling us mom and dad. And then when we were supervising visits, there was another mom. And so he was calling us both mom, and we were not correcting him. We would just kind of work through how to respond with that. And on the way, after that first visit, on the way home, he was singing in the back of the car, "I love my foster mom, I love my mom, and so what you could see just after that first interaction, and even after the first visit where we weren't supervising, when the foster parents respect the bio parents, it gives that child freedom to not have to choose, that they can love both. And if you give them permission, not with words, but with actions, by respecting and loving that bio parent, a load is lifted from the child, that he doesn't have to choose who he wants to live with, who he likes better. And so he since that day will tell everyone he has 2 moms. He still tells everyone he has 2 moms. And everyone kindly tells him how great that is, that he has more people to love him. So one of the greatest benefits for the children is that they don't have to choose when they see bio parents and foster families support and love one another. The children aren't caught in the middle.
The hardest, most challenging aspect of being a foster parent is, for me as a planner, uncertainty. We don't know when visits are going to be and how long they're going to be. And then, what's happening, everything's sort of out of your control. So people constantly would ask, like we'd see someone and they'd say, "So what's going on with, such and such kiddos?" And you're like, we just kind of wake up in the morning and figure it out as we go each day. Just enjoy the times you have and take advantage of every opportunity you have with your kiddos, because the uncertainty is kind of all over the place. We had placements that we thought would be for long periods of time. We picked up 2 brothers on a Friday one time, and then Monday they went home. So you just kind of never know. Yeah. So I think we really came into this without an idea of what foster care really looked like. I think our training made a big difference in our ability to handle and understand what was going to be coming at us. It still is crazy. You think you're ready, and then you get a placement and it's totally different. So the resources we've been very fortunate, almost in every instance, with our caseworkers and with Foster Coalition, the support from other foster care charities like the Foster Closet. Just really been very fortunate in our circle that's helped us along the way.
One of the greatest benefits that we have found from fostering was actually the effect on our biological children. And so when we started this, our youngest was 8 and our oldest was 14. And I know a lot of people are scared when they have biological children to bring kids from hard places into your house. And what we have seen is tremendous growth in children that are pretty entitled, living in the county and suburbia America, and they've had their bubble popped, and they've seen, just what it looks like to struggle, and the reality of a lot of kids in America's lives, and they've learned compassion. And so I think, we've all learned how to lay our lives down for someone else during this process, but to watch your children be able to do that or learn how to do that is not something we could have ever done with words or any amount of teaching. When they have to help a little one out when they would rather be doing something else, and then they see the benefit of that in the long run and how that affects a child tremendously. I mean, there's nothing we could have done with words to teach them these lessons. And one of my favorite stories is when our youngest was really having a hard time with one of our placements at one point, and we were driving, and I just told him that our role, again, reminded him our role was to make sure these children feel safe in our home. And why are you struggling to do that? And he just responded and said, "Oh, I really need you to help me remember that. Can you remind me next time?" And so it's been a tremendous process all together, learning together. But now the essays that they write for school are full of content. They're not fluffy. They are, they've learned some hard, real stuff. And we're just grateful for the effect that it has had on them.
I would say if you to talk to someone who might be considering fostering, don't be scared of the hours and hours of training. You'll get through it. It's extremely valuable. Try to get, I think during this, we probably both had very different type of responses from friends and family. It'll travel the spectrum. Just know that, not everybody's going to understand what you're doing or why you're doing it. Why would you do this? The need for this is enormous. Mm-hmm. Even if you are not someone who has the ability to foster yourselves, find other charities and ways to be involved. Help friends that that are fostering. It's a very it takes a lot out of every family, but the rewards are huge. So I would say it's hard work, it's crazy, it's fun, but it's worth it.
Yeah, and we both work full time, and we have 4 biological children still living at home. So if we can do it, anyone can do it.